Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I'm joined by my co-host, Michael Reed. Hall will be joining us here momentarily, but the Burgundy Zone is a part of the Frederick Podcast Network. You can find out more by going to www.listenfrederick.com. But now we are rejoined by brother of the podcast, Mr. Logan Paulsen. How are you doing on this happy holiday Monday, sir?
I'm great, man. It's always nice to have a holiday Monday. Played some beach volleyball earlier with some people, and that's always a good time. Get outside with the kiddos, So yeah. Fun day.
There's a beach in Virginia?
No, it was like a little
Virginia
sand
beach
court out near our house.
Oh, okay.
So
works
it's
out
not
the calf
it's like
muscles.
Calves and feet. I'm not gonna be walking right tomorrow because of that, but it's all right. We'll make it through.
Absolutely. And talking about making it through, the big news from today was that the Commanders have named Ryan Kerrigan as the assistant defensive line coach, taking over Jeff Zignina's job from before. So what was that news to you? This is a good idea, right? Because I said it on Twitter earlier. I don't think there's many people that would disagree with the fact that this is a great move.
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's all about fit. Former players, they have this reputation in the coaching world of being, sometimes lazy, sometimes not kind of all the way with the coaching. And I think Ryan from this jump has just been totally bought in. He's just been a man who's just been fired up. And then when you talk to the guys about his presence, his input has just been so appreciated and his experience has just helped them a ton. So that's always great to hear, and great to hear that his time that he put in during this kind of audition process is being rewarded, because I think, anyone who knows him knows how great of a human being he is. And I'm just glad that he's getting this opportunity, going right, being one of the best players in the NFL right into coaching at a high level. I think it's a pretty cool thing. So
shout out to Ryan Kerrigan. Shout out to his family. Seems like such a good dude. It seems like the players really, really appreciate him and like him, and they could really use his intel from being a former Pro Bowl player. So speaking of defense, linebacker, of course, has been a position of need. All the fans know that they've been very concerned about their depth. What do you need to see from Jamin Davis and Cole Holcomb? And do you feel confident after them bringing in John Bostic?
Yeah, I mean, I think, maybe I'm in a little different situation because I get to watch more practice than everybody, but I actually feel like that's a pretty good spot. Obviously, you still need more growth from Jamin. You still need to see more leadership qualities from Cole, but I think on the whole, those guys have been pretty solid. And I think when you look at linebacker in the NFL in 2022, you have to understand that a solid linebacker is really all you need to get by. You don't need these kind of traditional 195 tackle linebackers anymore, because the position is more predicated on coverage, right? So I've seen a nice evolution from Jamin in terms of coverage ability. He was good at it last year. He's much better at this year. And also I've seen a much better physicality and mindset when it comes to fitting the run. So I just think that they're in a good spot. And like you said, the depth is kind of a concern, but I think Mayo is okay. You can use him in a pinch. I think Milo Eifler did a great job in the preseason and showed some nice competitive stripes. And then you have a guy like John Bostic coming in, who I think, might not be the best football player of all time, but is very, very smart, can add some mentorship, leadership to that. And if he's got to play a little bit of football, I think that's okay. So with regards to depth, it's not a perfect situation, but I think people need to understand that there's no such thing as a perfect linebacker room in the NFL because of how that position is exploited, how that position is schemed up offensively. And so it's just about getting some guys who can buy into your system, know what to do, and are good athletes. And I think you have that with the two starters you have, and you have enough depth to kind of feel, maybe not perfect, but you feel okay about it.
Yeah, absolutely. With John Bostic, I think you feel confident if he were to come in an emergency situation, be able to get the calls out to the rest of the guys.
Knows the defense and stuff, right?
Exactly. But obviously the Commanders had placed Brian Robinson on the NFI list, the non-football injury list. He can be activated in Week 5 against the Titans. So in the beginning part of the season, it looks like they're not going to be without Brian Robinson, with Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissick. I want to get your opinion on how do you think the running backs are going to be used now, because this is a curveball for Scott Turner. We talked about that running back room being earth, wind, and fire, where now you're without earth. So how do you think those running backs are going to be used?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I think it'll look a lot like it did last year. I think Gibson's going to be your bell cow guy. Maybe you give more touches to Jonathan Williams in first and second down. That is something I could see happening to kind of keep that group fresh. But I think Gibson's going to be the guy for most of the season. And I think something to keep an eye on is kind of McKissick out of those more pass heavy personnel groupings, like your 11 personnel, your 10 personnel with, one running back, 4 wide receivers, 1 running back, 3 wide receivers, those types of personnel groupings. What does McKissic do in those situations? Because Scott Turner's alluded to that a whole bunch this offseason. McKissic, I think, is a very skilled runner. I think he gets a lot of credit as a pass receiver, and that he should, because he's excellent at that. But I think an area of his game that is very solid is his ability to run the football, especially in those lighter boxes, those lighter number boxes, which are dictated by those personnel groupings. So I can see them kind of shifting that direction early on, especially given the personnel that they have available to them. Curtis Samuels, Jahan Dotson, and Terry McLaurin, get them on the field with Logan Thomas, with Cole Turner, and get McKissic in those running situations, because it's a very effective passing group, but also because of the lighter boxes that personnel is going to dictate, it's going to lead to some nice running lanes for him. So I think that's something else to keep an eye on in terms of that usage package. But I think Gibson's going to be getting quite a few touches to start off early.
Okay, yeah. How do you feel about the Ukraine-Russian conflict? I'm just gonna, with week 1, of course, coming up fast, we're all excited for Jacksonville. What do you need to see from Carson Wentz? Of course, the big storyline last year was Carson Wentz in week 17, 18. JMO, calm down. In week 18.
Get your boy over there.
He didn't appreciate the question. He was like,
he runs the show. Yeah. What do you need to see from Carson Wentz against the Jaguars?
Yeah, so it's not so much what I need to see from Carson Wentz. I think it's more what I need to see from Scott Turner. And that's not an indictment or a questioning of Scott Turner. Just we haven't seen what this offense is going to be. I think there's a lot of pieces here that people are excited about. We mentioned the receivers, the running backs, the tight ends, the offensive line, and their kind of infinite depth, seemingly, Carson Wentz's big arm. How are you going to utilize those packages, those personnel, to put Carson Wentz in the best position to be successful? So that's more what I'm concerned about. I think we know what Carson's limitations are. We know where he excels. We know there's going to be some up and down to his play, but as a play caller, how do you mitigate that? How do you put him in the best situations to be successful? And I think that starts week 1 against Jacksonville. I've started doing my soft breakdown at Jacksonville, and that's not a bad defense. When you watch them through the preseason, they've got some
Walker's look good.
Yeah, they've got some interesting personnel there that I think are going to present some challenges. Now, how are they gelling? How are they coming together? That's the question, because a lot of new pieces there, but they're a fast, athletic, young defense that's going to make some plays. So if you're Scott, let's put Carson in good situations to be successful. And what exactly does that look like? I think it'd be a mistake to kind of fall back into this shell of running on first down, running on second down, getting in these 3rd and longs. So those are very challenging situations for quarterbacks to be successful. Can we work on our first down passing game? Can we work so that we're not in these 2nd and long, 3rd and long situations? I'd like to see some of that. Something that came out of the preseason was taking a shot on 2nd and 1. Make sure we take advantage of those situations where the defense is on their heels.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff, I'm going to be antennas up, ready to go, because I think we kind of understand who Carson is. It's just about, can you maximize what he's doing? And I think that falls largely on Scott Turner.
Absolutely. Now, this question I have for you, this is going to be based on a matchup basis on one player.
Sure.
Who's going to have the most difficult job versus Jacksonville that's on the Commanders?
That's a really good question. Right now, I'd have to say, seemingly, just again with my early evaluation, I think the offensive line is going to be in for a little bit of a lift here. And it's not nothing that's impossible, but I think when you look across that board, they've got Allen, the kid from Kentucky from a couple of years ago, 1st-round pick. They've got they've got 3 dudes, and Josh Allen. I wanted to call him John Allen. I was like, that's not right. 3 dudes inside who are kind of these 300, they were built in a factory, 6'4", 320 across the board, kind of in that Tampa Bay Buccaneers style of interior defensive player. They've got the 1st-round pick Trayvon Walker, who again is a very raw pass rusher, but shows a lot of kind of special traits. Then you got Foye Olakun, you've got Muma from Wyoming, who they drafted in the 3rd round.
Him coming out.
And then Devin Lloyd is also a guy they drafted. So they've got a lot of young linebackers, and those guys are flying to the football. They have, in addition to those 2 edge pieces, they have a lot of kind of interchangeable edge rushers, guys who are kind of depth pieces, and they can bump Trayvon Walker inside and get these really dynamic nickel rushing packages. So can you keep Carson Wentz protected? Can you keep him standing upright? Can you kind of and then the other thing I think it's important to note is the defensive coordinator is a disciple of Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles loves to bring pressure in 3rd down situations, fringe red zone situations. How do you handle that stuff? So, what is that offensive line group going to do, at least early on in my evaluation? That's the biggest question to me.
Yeah. And then flipping to the other side of the ball, the defense. We've seen the third down struggles continue through the preseason from last year. What do you see? Calm. He just came up to me and snaked my phone, and now he's pissed off because he can't enter in the passcode and got locked out.
You're going to get locked out for 4 days now.
He does all the time. All the time. What do you need to see from this secondary? Like, this secondary has been concerning me. I know Trevor Lawrence is not as bad as people say. I know his stats last year weren't the best, but if you go back and watch, he's made some incredible throws. And in this new system with Doug Peterson, I think he's really going to know how to utilize him because he's similar to Carson Wentz. He had success with Carson Wentz. What does the secondary need to do to have success?
Well, what's interesting is, like, in my meetings, like you mentioned the film breakdowns before I got on with Ron, like, I think it's really interesting when you watch clip by clip, play by play, the secondary actually, I think, is playing okay. I think when you watch training camp practice, I think they're training okay. I think it's how the coverage at the moment is marrying with the rush and how disciplined the rush can be. And one of the things that sticks out to me about Trevor Lawrence's game is his ability to move in the pocket, right? He's a tremendous athlete, big, strong arm guy, and they've added all these offensive weapons for him. So I don't think there's going to be an issue in terms of matching concept. I think everyone's going to know what Doug Peterson is, what he wants to be. He's been in the NFL for a very long time. But how do you kind of make sure that your rush is lined up so that you can keep him in the pocket, you can keep Trevor Lawrence stressed, you can force him into bad decisions, and not try to play hero ball with regards to rush? Because when I came out of those, watching the film with Ron, that was the one thing that really stood out to me, was how important it is to keep the quarterback in the pocket and uncomfortable. Yes. And we mentioned Jacksonville's rush and what they do a good job of. They might not be the most creative rushers, but they do a good job of keeping the quarterback in the pocket and not giving him a lot of space. So can the Commanders' defensive line execute that game plan? I think that is the bigger issue, because, like, when you watch the Kansas City game, for example, where the defense played the full half, basically, I think the one thing that stuck out to me above all else was the coverage seemed to be there, and the coverage actually was very, very tight. But when the play was extended because the quarterback was able to escape from the pocket, that's where the breakdown happens. And unfortunately, there's no coverages that are designed to cover for 4.5, 5 seconds. So that, to me, Trevor Lawrence's skill set, the offensive line, Phil Rauscher's the offensive line coach there. I played with him in college. He's a disciple of Bill Callahan. He's going to have those dudes dialed up and playing good football. Can this defensive line execute against that offensive line, which historically has not been very good? And if they can, I think they're going to be okay. But that's a big if in my book. And I think that's the big crux of this whole first game. And I think the thing that I'm going to be keeping an eye on the most.
Absolutely. Now, to wrap this up, Logan, I'll have a couple more questions for you as we break down this game. It's game week, baby. First of the season. This is where hope is alive, and I'm all about it. First question for you. They kept 5 tight ends on the 53-man roster. Do you expect all 5 to dress for week 1? Because Logan's still working himself back. Do you think he might be off and 4 activated? What do you think?
Well, I think they just moved Curtis Hodges to IR, and if they haven't yet, I would expect them to do that very soon. I think that's something, I think it just speaks to how talented that group is, and I've talked to you guys about that before. Yeah. They are a very, very talented group, and you want to keep all those guys around if you can for as long as possible. I think there'll be 4 dressed, and I think all 4 will. I think there'll be 4 active on game day, and I think all 4 will dress. I think depending on Logan's situation, you might have 3 active. If Logan's not ready to go or Bates isn't ready to go. But I think, as we've seen, this system doesn't need a bunch of tight ends. I think it's a nice resource, a nice luxury, but I don't think it's necessary. And I think you feel good. Like, I just saw that Cole Turner practiced, was it today or yesterday? Awesome. Earlier this week. So that's a really good sign, and I'm encouraged by that, because, man, he was looking very, very sharp at certain parts of training camp. So getting him back on the field would be great. Armani Rogers had an excellent training camp period. And then, if those 2 guys are ready to go, that's great. You can make do with that. They can play teams. They can get you in the right spots. So, I really think Logan will be ready, but if he's not, I think you have those 2, and then it depends on Bates and where he's at.
Absolutely agree with you there. Next question I have for you. Let's keep it. We can keep it 1 each. A must see and a must not see against Jacksonville.
I'm going to stick with the play calling theme here in terms of must see. I don't want to see conservative play calling. Okay. I think there's this myth that, like, in order to make a quarterback feel secure and safe in the context of an offense, like, you need to get conservative as a play caller. When in fact, like, the analytics seem to kind of be pointing in the opposite direction. You want to stay aggressive. You want to keep the defense on their heels. And I know Jacksonville's defense, at least from what I've seen, appears to be more talented than they were last year, appears to have more kind of problem players, you know what I mean? People that can cause you problems offensively, but they're all very young. So let's see what we can do from a game plan standpoint to put our offense and put Carson Wentz in the best situation and be successful. So that's what I must see. And I guess in the reverse, I must not see conservative play calling. And then, but just to kind of give you a different answer, defensively, I need to see disciplined pass lane, disciplined pass rushes and disciplined blitzes. Because when the group is disciplined and their attention to detail is high, they're able to create pressure. They're able to keep the quarterback in the pocket. So I don't want to see kind of loose blitz patterns. I don't want to see loose rush angles. And I think that will be better for the coverage over the course of the game.
Absolutely, and wholeheartedly, totally agree with you. I just talked to Andy on his pod yesterday, and that's the one thing I said. They have to be able to contain Trevor Lawrence in the pocket, make him beat you with his eyes and his arm. But last question I have for you, score prediction and possible MVP for the game this weekend.
Of the game. Oh, interesting. So let me think. Score prediction, I actually have no idea. And I think, score predictions are tough because we have, like, one of the things that they've said this whole training camp period, the whole preseason period, is that they're keeping everything close to the vest. So what is this offense actually going to be? What is this defense actually going to be? I think that's something that I'm keeping an eye on. But if I had to kind of gun to my head, I'd probably say, I don't know, 24-28. I think it's going to be kind of close. I think it's going to be higher scoring than people think. So that's kind of what my thought. And then MVP of the game, I'm going to give it to Carson because I think he's going to come out and do an excellent job throwing the football.
Predictions usually are stupid, Logan. It's okay. I know you usually don't like answering stupid questions. I can't thank you enough, brother. Obviously,
you love to ask them, though.
Right, I do. I'm the guru of stupid questions, you could say. It's Logan, okay. I can't thank you enough. You do the Take Command podcast, but they can also find you on Instagram at Logan_Paulsen82 for your film breakdowns. Obviously, it's like from the olive branch, my friend. You are the knowledge guy that we go to for football. Can't thank you enough, brother.
I appreciate you guys having me on. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too, brother. Have fun.
You too. You have fun with them kids.
Them kids.
All right, you guys. What's up, Mike? How you doing, brother?
What's up?
Yeah, Logan was like, "Oh, Hall's here.
Yeah,
I'm out."
Go.
I know. He's like, "Oh man, this guy's here. I'm out of here."
Yeah, he said it. That we're like, "That's."
You're talking about your like dumb questions. This guy, he's like, "Man, this guy has the extra dumb questions. I'm out of here."
Yeah, right. You guys do. I ask things that aren't even questions 9 times out of 10.
Not according to Anthony Armstrong. Anthony Armstrong loved Hall's questions, bro.
Yeah, he did.
He did. Everybody does. Yeah,
he did.
Yeah, dude. I'm surprised you're still alive after yesterday, Hall, our drunkies draft. That was that was an S show.
Yeah, I came home and stuffed my face with food and like instantly passed out.
We bought like 7 boxes of pizzas from Domino's. I think we crushed the entire thing. That was a baller day yesterday, Mike.
Who's got the best team?
I think the ESPN ranked Cracky to have the best team, unfortunately.
I knew it.
Yeah.
I called. I'm just kidding. Good for Cracky.
Hopper's squad is actually pretty like good.
It is. It ranked him as second.
Yeah.
In the projected standings. But those
who came in last besides you, Kyle?
I was third. Hall was second to last, but I think the last one was Alex.
Damn, was that really?
Yeah, I think Alex was second to our last.
ESPN don't know what they're talking about. So
yeah, I couldn't see either one of you guys up in the season. Yeah, you guys both know what the hell you're doing with fantasy.
Right, absolutely. Hey, but let's start looking into this game on Sunday. But before we get into like the actual Commanders and everything like that, because we have fan questions coming up, we have another guest joining us here shortly. We'll kind of want to talk about the NFL. Obviously, the first kickoff is on Thursday evening. It's going to be the Bills and the Chiefs, right?
Bills and Rams.
Bills and Rams. That's even a better matchup, honestly. It should have been the the Super Bowl. How are you guys feeling? What's your best anticipated matchup besides the Commanders of the weekend?
I'm excited for Thursday, man. I think that those are two fantastic teams. Obviously, the Rams just won the Super Bowl. The Bills, I think, got to be considered. I mean, at least after that offseason, James, calm. Got to be considered the Super Bowl favorite. I mean, in the AFC outside of the Chiefs, because they loaded up, man. And you look at Von Miller, adding him. I think adding Kyer Elam in the draft was huge. He's singing his ABCs. I can't even be mad at him. So I'm excited for that, man. I really am.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right about that. If I'm not mistaken, they also added like Jamison Crowder, and then obviously they got Tim Settle onto the defense there in Buffalo as well.
James Cook, I think, could be a big part of that offense.
And then I think Tre'Davious White, if I'm not mistaken, is missing a couple of the games early on in the season.
Kyer Elam, I think, is the starting quarterback for Tre'Davious White now.
Yeah. So, honestly, for me, the one matchup I'm looking forward to this weekend, it's the Patriots versus the Dolphins. I think Mac Jones, the Patriot offense, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, but like everyone's been in chaos in New England saying that the offense looks horrible. They don't know what they're doing. Then obviously the Dolphins having to show publicly that they are not trying to throw away the season anymore. They invested heavily into their team in this offseason to show everyone that they are invested into their team, getting Tyreek Hill among others. And so I'm really excited to see that because maybe Tyreek Hill and Tua come out and blow the lid off of Bill Belichick. But I find that hard to believe. I think that's one exciting matchup.
I'm gonna go with the.
You all right?
Sorry, just got a ridiculous ass text message. It just threw me off. What was I gonna say? My one I'm looking forward to is the Chargers, LA Chargers versus the
Raiders.
Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah.
I think that if you go back to last year, obviously the last game of the season for the Chargers and Raiders, both of them had to win both had to win to get into the playoffs, and obviously the Chargers kind of like botched the end of that game. Raiders get into the playoffs. Like you said, the AFC West is going to be loaded this year. I feel like every single one of those matchups, division matchups, is going to be like a heavyweight title fight type of game. So it's going to be must-see TV for that game.
They also have 2 revenge games too, by the way: Browns Panthers and Seahawks Broncos. Seahawks Broncos is one I'm excited to watch. Russ, Denver, Bronco Nation.
Let's
I'm
ride.
excited to see him. Let's ride. And
Dude, week 1 is loaded with great matchups like the Chiefs versus the Cardinals. Kyler Murray facing off against Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. And you got the Buccaneers facing the Cowboys, Tom Brady. And how is he going to look with that revamped offensive line after a tragedy with injuries have affected them? What a load of a week 1 for the NFL. This was a great idea on their part. But let's bring this to the Commanders. I kind of want to get your guys' opinions, Hall, on because they literally cut down their cornerback room a lot. They only had like 3 or 4 at one point, and they added to 2 waiver claims. Kind of want to get your opinion about the defense, the secondary, and the linebacking core.
Yeah, I'm kind of blown. I got on towards the end of Logan because I wanted to ask him what's more important this Sunday coming up. The defense playing well, the Carson Wentz playing well. I want to see what his insight was. But, yeah, as far as the cornerback depth goes, I was surprised that not really surprised that they cut Danny Johnson, but I was surprised just because, like you said, the depth in the room is kind of very, very minimal, and they brought in 2 guys that were waiver wire claims, and obviously we haven't seen them throughout training camp. No one really knows anything about them other than just the random like YouTube clips or whatever you can find. So, yeah, it's gonna be a challenge going forward. Like obviously we don't play the same talent as quarterbacks that we did last year, but you got to factor in like just in week 1 with the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence is going to be probably most likely a whole different quarterback with an actual NFL coach behind him, a guy that's pretty much knows how to coach up quarterbacks. You see what he did with Carson Wentz, Nick Foles, and whatnot, and Doug Peterson. So, and you see what he did in the preseason. He was making the throws that you would expect him to make with a guy that's been like such highly touted and like talked about coming out of college. So, yeah, it's going to be a challenge for the back end. Hopefully I think that it will help them though. I think that if the pass rush can get back to what they were or some of what they were of 2020, I think that's obviously going to help out the back end. You don't have to cover as much. So if those 2 units can play together and play kind of in sync, I think they'll be okay. But if the pass rush is not what we all expect it to be, it might be a long season for the secondary.
Yeah, dude, I am concerned about the secondary, especially with Cameron Curls. Obviously, he had the thumb injury, had to get surgery. I think it looked like he was practicing today, which is great news. Hopefully, he can play week 1. But I am concerned about the secondary, specifically speaking, because of Cameron Curl. He is a huge part of this defense. He allows them to be versatile in their packages because of what he can do based on his skill set, being able to play tight ends, being able to play in the box, being a kind of a run fitter, an excellent run fitter at that.
I didn't even have my camera on the whole time.
He did.
No, that's all right. No, my other camera.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but Cameron Curl, it is a concern for me, but it kind of shows you how they feel about the DB room where they're being honest about it. We're like, look, we have our set of guys, but everything after that can be wish-washy. And so we might as well leave ourselves open to somebody that could be made available instead of them being stubborn in the sense of saying, like, this is our guy, we got to keep him, essentially. That's what I mean. So I'm glad that they made that decision. But it is a concern for me with the DB room because we've seen that the NFL is trending towards more secondary, more DBs, your safeties and your linebackers being more coverage ability, being asked to do more. So being thin at that position, specifically DB, it is concerning for me. Where you read?
I will say that I really do. I mean, you guys kind of hit on all the points, but I do really like the signing of Tariq Castro Fields. I think I talked about that last episode. I was real high on him coming out, and I was surprised to see him cut like that. So I think it's a good signing. I mean, the guy's got speed. He's got all the attributes you look for. He's got good size. And if you can get him in there and kind of learn behind Kendall Fuller, William Jackson III, get some maybe experience early on, I think it could really bode well for him, and he can become a nice part of this defense.
Absolutely. Now let's move on to our fan questions, as we're going to be joined by our second guest here shortly. This is from the Colonel. Reed, I'll start this with you. What do you guys see as the biggest threat from the Jaguars this Sunday?
I think, I mean, Logan kind of touched on their defense. I do think that their defense is very underrated, but I think Trevor Lawrence in this passing attack with Doug Peterson. We've seen what Doug Peterson did with Carson Wentz up in Philly, and I think that they kind of offer similar things where they're both like Carson Wentz in his prime and Trevor Lawrence, where they're both big, mobile quarterbacks with strong arms. Trevor Lawrence, obviously, to a greater extent because he was considered such a generational prospect, and people kind of forget about that last year. I know the team won't. The team's going to play him very seriously. They know how good he can be, but I think Doug Peterson and this passing attack are going to be schemed up very well. They're going to get Carson Wentz on the move. They're going to get him some nice, easy passes early on, and it's going to be very tough to stop. And I think that this Jaguars running attack is also very, very underrated with James Robinson and Travis Etienne. And I'm concerned about that, man. I think that the Jaguars can really put up some points.
I'm kind of blown that we just interviewed Logan because Logan took all my points, but my biggest threat is definitely Trevor Lawrence and keeping him contained in the pocket. When you watched their offense in the preseason, they were doing a lot of the read options, the play action rollouts, keep using Trevor Lawrence's legs and his arms to their benefit and being able to move the pocket and then shutting the field down half of it. So that way it's easier for Trevor Lawrence to see downfield, see the matchups, to get the ball to his guys. So the biggest threat to me is Trevor Lawrence and keeping him in that pocket. I think Logan Paulsen said it 100% correct. It's the rushing lanes and keeping Trevor Lawrence in that pocket, creating chaos around him, but don't allow him in an alleyway to be able to escape out of it. That's been their biggest thorn in their backside, especially on third down. You want to suffocate Trevor Lawrence. You want to keep him piled up in there almost like a quicksand, you could say. You just want to absorb him in there, and then basically all he has to do is throw the ball out of there. And a lot of the times your defense is going to be paying dividends for that. But now we are joined by our next guest all the way from the UK, Mr. Andy Burrows. How are you doing, brother? Oi!
Oi, good evening, gentlemen. How are we?
Are you excited?
I am super excited, my man.
What day? What time's your guys' flight?
I leave my house at 6:30 a.m. on Thursday morning to head to this. About an hour and a half's journey to the airport, and I've tentatively started packing already, but this is man packing, so it's quite worrying.
Right. Yeah.
Usually I don't handle this side of the travel, but yeah.
Man packing's easy, baby.
Yeah,
it really
man,
is. My wife yells at me all the time. She's like, "Why aren't you packed yet?" I'm like, "I'll pack in the morning as we leave."
Yeah.
Just throw in 3 pairs of underwear
all the time.
Exactly. Yeah. Just count the days. I was like, well, I'm there for 6 days. I need 6 pairs of underwear, you know.
Wouldn't it suck to be a girl and be like, all right, well, I need underwear for the morning. I need some just in case. I need some if we go out. I need some for this. And then we're just like, give me 3 outfits. We're good, baby. I don't care if I'm going to another country. I'm good.
No, but Andy, if you could really briefly just kind of explain why this is such a big deal for this week 1 game. Obviously, you guys over in the UK, and you guys are coming for this game. So kind of explain what your plan is and how many guys are coming and what you expect to do.
Oh, dude, man, I think, like you said, this plan has been 2 years in the making, especially to meet up with all you guys, Carl, especially like you, Hall and Reed. COVID, yada, yada, yada. We haven't been able to do it. So I've explained on a few shows. I've done it on our pod. I spoke to you, Carl, and all of you guys offline. It's hard to explain to fans that live in the States, because you could go and see Washington any week you want, you know.
Right.
We're all usually stuck in our, you know, most of us over here, our Hubbard halves don't really like football, so we're stuck in a small box room in the man cave watching the NFL on a Sunday on our own. So this is huge for us. I think in total now, I looked on the WhatsApp group earlier, I think there's 21 of us coming from the UK. So in total, I think there's gonna be 21 of us in DC.
It really is an invasion.
Yeah,
you should alert the authorities, honestly.
Get your muskets.
I know, yeah. It didn't end well last time England invaded your country. But,
no, it didn't. Thank you for admitting that. Thank you. I always wondered how you guys taught that in history.
Yeah. It's just something about some tea into a harbour. I don't know. But we're there's 21 of us coming. Most of us get there on Thursday. I think the plan is to get there a few days early to try and cram in everything. Obviously, the NFL season starts on Thursday night. So a few of us are meeting up in a bar, I think, near Nats Park on Thursday evening. I think I tweeted it out and loads of people replied saying, yep, I'm coming to meet you, Andy, on Thursday. We're coming to see you guys. Friday. I don't know if I can say what we're doing Friday yet. I'm meeting up with all you guys I'm meeting up with you guys on Friday, spending the day with all of you guys. Obviously, Hall, I know you've got other engagements, but obviously I'll see you Sunday, my brother.
Say that louder, just in case she's in the room.
Oh yeah, Hall's got other engagements. But obviously, spending all day Friday with you guys. Really, I know spending it with obviously Carl and Reed, spending it with you guys. Saturday is again, it's going to be crazy. I think we're sightseeing, and then we might be doing a tour of Nats Park. Maurice over at the DC Tweet Team has arranged a meal at Theismann, and I think there's something like over 100 people going to that.
Yeah, Theismann's restaurant.
I've been there before. I went to the one in 2017, 18. That place is huge. Joe Theismann turned up to one of the meals they'd done because he heard everyone was in town.
Right.
It's going to be a crazy. And then obviously the game on Sunday is that's going to be the icing on the top of the cake. I think we're tailgating from like 9 a.m. So it's
I would imagine getting there early to tailgate.
Need to try and pace myself to actually make the game, because the Eagles game when I come over last time, I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't remember too much about the first quarter. I had to get loads of water. had to get a lot of water down me. But it's gonna be. Yeah, it's going to be a crazy few days. People have just been so friendly and like they're going out of their way. I mean, people are literally.
People are excited for you guys to come by.
Yeah, they're flying in. Like two people messaged me today saying, "Hi, Andy." One guy I've never met. I only spoke to him on social media. Flying in from LA. One guy's coming in from Cincinnati.
Wow.
And they're all coming. They're like, "Where are you going to be Friday night?" I'm like, "This is where we'll be. This is the bar."
See this Commanders brass, see what happens when the UK fellas come into town. You guys need to make sure you fly them out here every week, and then I guarantee you'll get some fans in the stands.
I really cannot wait, because Andy, I know this is something that's been personal for us. We have been talking about this week one, you meeting up with you guys, because if you guys watch this show, I'm not sure if you know, Andy was our first, and the UK guys were our first real not fans, but they gave us real
They're
support.
The first connections that we made.
And honestly, we've been talking about this for so long, and COVID kept us away, and so finally, I mean, you even reached out to have us fly out there in the UK in April, but then I had circumstances going on, my daughter being on the way. And so this finally coming around is just really, really special, and it's a huge moment because it's almost perfect in the way that it's the first game as the Commanders, the new season rollout. You guys are finally being able to come down here. It's going to be an absolute blast.
Right. What better? That's perfect, like you said, because 2 years ago when we were talking about this, it would just be another Washington football game. Last season would be a Washington football game, and I remember saying something like, once COVID clears up, then you guys can come out here. Plus, we'll have a new name, and we're all like, God damn, that seems so far away.
Yeah, that is so cool to say that we're at the first ever Washington Commanders game. That will be with us forever, and we can buy game day programs, and we can keep all of them, and you're going to be part of history. So in years to come, when we'll all still be friends in 10, 20 years, we can all be like, well, we were at the very, very first Washington official game, you know what I mean? So
I cannot wait to be that 50-year-old guy calling into the radio saying, "Man, I was at the first Commanders game. This is what we need to get back to doing."
If they change their jerseys
into the radio saying,
if they don't keep the camo black jerseys when they redo this color scheme, I swear I've been a fan for 50 years. We get to be those guys now.
This is the last straw. I'm out.
That's all radio colors are filled with. I absolutely love it. But Andy, I want to get your opinion because the Colonel sent us in a question. Obviously, sir, I want to get your opinion on it. What do you see as the biggest threat from the Jaguars in this Sunday's game?
I think they're a very underrated team. Obviously, QB, can do bits, but I think they're very underrated. I've seen a lot of them over the years especially coming to the UK. They're pretty much our team over here in the UK.
They are though, right?
I didn't think about that.
They play over there the most.
They're over here again this year. They're coming out. I think what everyone doesn't know about the Jags is the guy that owns the Jags at the minute is trying to buy Wembley Stadium.
Yeah.
Wow.
He wants the Jags.
His son owns AEW, right?
Yeah. Don't get me started on that last night. But he wants to buy Wembley Stadium, so we're going to see a lot more of the Jags. Eventually, they will be the London Jaguars. 100% going to happen. I'm telling you now. 100%. This dude, or in 5-6 years' time, maybe it's going to happen. But I think they pose a lot bigger threat than I think I said to you, Carl, when I was with you yesterday. I think we're underestimating this team a lot. I think offensively they're very good. I think they've got a lot better. And I think they know where to target with Washington. We said this yesterday. And I think a lot of teams so far this season, this upcoming season, and if we don't get it sorted really quickly, the deep threat against Washington is going to be a bit, safety corner. They're going to target our weak spots, and I think that's where they're going to look to target Washington this coming weekend. I think we're not going to see a lot of running from them. I think they're going to go for it, and I think if we're not on our game, I think we're in for a hard one here this weekend. So we really don't need to take this game lightly. I think a lot of fans are, and I'm one of them. I'm going to get caught up in the razzmatazz. We've just got to turn up and win. This isn't what's going to happen. You know what I mean? This Jacksonville team, all right, they're a very underrated team. Obviously, right. I see so much of them, and I've spoke to so many Jags fans over here, and they absolutely think they're underrated.
They've had the first pick for the last 2 years. Anytime that happens, you're going to get some talent. And they got a generational quarterback, and they got a freak of nature at Trayvon Walker, who actually looked good from what I've heard. And they got some nice weapons and a good head coach. So.
Yeah, and I compared it to the Nationals. How many 100-loss seasons did we see?
Right.
They accumulated all that talent. Obviously, it blossomed
and then went
into the championship team, right? So it's essentially what's happening to Jacksonville. So they better be good at this point. But Hall, I never got your opinion on this. What's the biggest threat from Jacksonville? Anybody different?
No, I think my biggest threat is it's not really on the field technically, but I think it's Doug Peterson, just because he knows Carson Wentz, he coached him. He knows the division, he knows his team. Just going back when he was coaching the Eagles, he knows obviously, like I say, he knows Carson Wentz's strengths, he knows his weaknesses, and he's coached against Ron Rivera before, so he knows how to attack his defenses. And like you said before, just the upgrade from him to Urban Meyer. You can already see the growth that Trevor Lawrence has shown in the preseason. It's probably going to carry into the regular season as well. And just the way that he's going to use Trevor Etienne, I think he's going to be the thorn in our backside come Sunday, just because he's coming off the ACL. So he has a lot to prove, and
he can do it.
Yeah, I just think that the way that he's going to scheme him up to get open, the way he's going to give him the ball in the running game, the passing game, I think it can be a lot of stress put on the defense with those two guys at the and they go back to college. They know each other well. They got chemistry together, like him and Trevor Lawrence.
They used to date, I think, at one time. I heard.
So yeah, I think Doug Peterson is the biggest threat.
That makes sense. But let's keep this next question from the Colonel with you, Hall. If Curtis Samuel is 100%, how do you see his role emerging this season?
I think that we're gonna get what we saw from him in Carolina, just a lot of the motion, pre-snap motion stuff, a lot of that jet sweep stuff. You're gonna line him up in the backfield, hand him the ball, toss him the ball, like screens, a lot of outside zone stuff with him. Just like a chess piece, pretty much like everything that we thought we would get last year with him and Fitz, and him combining up with Terry McLaurin, just being that dynamic duo. I think we're going to get that, but even more this year, because we have Jahan Dotson as well to pair with him. Looks like the tight ends are going to be back. Hopefully Logan Thomas will be on the field, but if not, hopefully Cole Turner as well, John Bates, those guys. So just a lot of speed on the field, a lot of open space, a lot of just get the ball in his hands, get him in open space, and hopefully, like I said, we'll get what we expected last year out of him this year.
Yeah, for me, Curtis Samuel looks – I think he's going to be the short to medium distance kind of wide receiver. I think he's going to be utilized heavily on first down and third down. We saw that in the preseason when he ran that in and out on that one third down that he got the first down on. I think he's going to be used to make Carson Wentz comfortable when it's not a tight end or running back format. And then Terry's going to be used deep downfield. So with Curtis Samuel, I think Hall's absolutely right with the chess piece. But when he does get the ball in his hands, it's going to be that short to medium range stuff. And he's really going to help this team being able to get the ball, move the chains downfield. What do you think, Andy?
I think he's going to be important when you need to get them five, like you say, Carl. If you need to get them 5 or 6 yards, he could be the guy to turn to. With what's going on with Gibson, we just don't want him to drop the ball. So he might be the person that we're going to turn to. And I think what I think could be important with him is what he does after he catches the ball. The yards after catch is where I want to see him be explosive. The amount of times he caught the ball and then he couldn't get past the first or second tackle. I think when he gets going and he gets in the outfield, this guy can move. I mean, we need to utilize that more. So I'm keen to see, especially to come on Sunday, like you say, Carl. I think first and third down, I think we're going to use him early on in the game, just to get it rolling, just to get the chains moving and give our offense some confidence. So, and once that starts going, that feeds into everyone else.
Absolutely agree. Reed, you got anything to add?
I think that just having that much speed on the field at one time with Terry, of course, Curtis Samuel, and then Jahan Dotson, and then you look at the running backs, of course, Antonio Gibson's a 4-3 guy. J.D. McKissic's a fantastic pass catcher. I just think it can really cause headaches. If all those guys are playing at a high level, who are you going to guard? I mean, because then you have fast tight ends as well. You have Logan Thomas, who's super athletic, Cole Turner. So I think it really bodes well for this offense. And I think even if he doesn't have a huge statistical game, just having the threat of him, a big play threat like that inside in the slot that can play running back, that can get fake handoffs, that can actually take handoffs, that can catch short, intermediate, deep. I think that could really bode well for this offense.
Hey, maybe he could throw the football too. You never know. But Reed, I want to keep this.
Also,
sorry.
And I was going to say, also to your point, if you remember back to last season, that Atlanta game, when we actually first saw Curtis Samuel for the first time being on the field, he only had like 5 catches for like 13 yards or like 15 yards, whatever it might have been. But 3 of those catches were for first downs, kept the chains moving. I'm pretty sure we scored on 2 of those drives, maybe all 3 of them. So to your point, he's definitely going to be huge on third down for us.
That might have been the Terry McLaurin touchdown drive. Curtis helped move the chains. But Reed, I want to keep this with you because it kind of goes into your explanation that you just answered. This is from Tanner's dad. Tanner, the former All-State wrestler, teammate of mine. His dad is a fan of the show, and he sent in a question to us today. Said, "Hey, Kyle, love the show. Was wondering your thoughts if you think Scott Turner will be innovative and creative with the weapons he has at his disposal. Will we see unique sets and player combinations like 3 running back sets, sending a half in motion and double check triple tight ends, 4 wide Samuel at running back, etc.? I'm asking you, do you think he is capable of being creative and causing headaches for opposing defenses, Reed?"
First of all, shout out Mr. Rublik. I'm pretty sure you know my dad. I'm pretty sure you do. But I am very, very I'm on board with Scott Turner. I think Scott Turner is a very smart, creative play caller. I think we've seen that at times. I think sometimes he's tried to get too cute with it, but if he has the personnel like he does with, like I talked about, with the speed on that we could have on offense, I think he could be very creative, and I think it could be very dangerous. Of course, everybody has to stay healthy, but I think he's going to put people in the best places. He's still here after 2 seasons, and he didn't have anybody that he wanted last year. Last season, he had Taylor Heineke. They go out, they get a quarterback with a very strong arm that can threaten downfield. They get help opposite Terry. Like, if you think about the last 2 years, he hasn't really had anything outside of Terry McLaurin and Antonio Gibson. So now that he has pieces outside of them and very good ones in depth at all these positions, I think that, yes, you should see Scott Turner shine. And if you don't, and everybody's healthy, then that's a cause for concern.
Hey, Andy, when I was on your show yesterday, you had a question to me about Scott Turner that was almost identical to this, essentially. Do you think that Scott Turner is capable of being highly creative and causing headaches for opposing defenses?
I think he is. I think he just needs to be given the opportunity to do it. And now once everyone's healthy, he can scheme for these kind of things. What I'd like to see him do is, a lot of people know Terry McLaurin, yada, yada, yada. They're going to target him. I want him to scheme for A and then go and do B. You know what I mean? Have something up your sleeve. Like you guys just said, there's going to be all sorts of plays that he can call now. Do it. The thing for me with Scott is sometimes he calls the right play at the wrong play at the wrong time, if that makes sense. And I just think I want him to be consistent with his play calling, do things at the right time. Some of the plays he called last season, I'm thinking, dude, I would have done this half a mile down the field. You're doing this too late. I think he has definitely got the ability. He's definitely got the players now, so there's not many excuses. But I hope he's allowed to be given the time I think in Washington's more the thing, because it's such a cauldron in DC. If we come out on Sunday and if we walk off, we go 3 and out, everyone's like, right, that's it. Get Scott Turner out, fire him. It's like, give him the time, patience, because I think with the players we've got now, he genuinely can be a very good coordinator. He already is. But I just think now we're healthy. We've got a good offense, a very good offense, in my opinion. Give the man the time to scheme it, and I look at it come week 6 and see what he's done.
Yeah, I totally think that he's capable, Mr. Rublik, of being highly creative and creating headaches. But I do think that he stems from his father's coaching tree, which is the, ground and pound and then throw the ball deep kind of offense. And so I could see how he is not as creative as other guys because he believes in the old school way of being able to do things. But I totally do think that he is capable of being able to be creative using Curtis Samuel in that type of way. My biggest concern is a lot of the times it feels like we are taking what the defense is giving us. Whereas if you watch like Andy Reid, if you watch these other offensive coordinators, they're finding a way to attack a defense. They're not finding a way just to have the defense give them what they want. They're looking for a way to make you thin, to force that ball in there. And obviously that does go into a lot of what tools you have at your disposal. But I think the other facet of this argument is that the players have to be able to execute that play on the field. And if you want to get that creative, if you want to get that confusing, yeah, it's going to be that for the defense, but you don't know what it's going to do for the players in that moment on the field. Because if somebody gets injured, now you're putting in a young guy on the field. Can he be able to articulate and be able to execute that confusing or the very detailed kind of nuanced offense? And that's the flip side to this is, yeah, I think Scott Turner is capable, but is our guys capable of executing it confidently? That's my concern.
That's big as well. I think as well, sorry to cut you off, Carl. No, I think our players take the safety and the linebacker, take them where you want to go, not where they want you to go. So many times we are set right. This is our route. This is what we're running. No, sometimes you have to think on the fly. Take these linebackers and safeties and corners, take them where you want to go. And that will open up the rest of the field for like a Logan Thomas to become free or yada, yada, yada. You know what I mean? We're so like, right, this is our play. This is what we're doing. I want Washington sometimes to think outside the box, and hopefully we're going to see a lot more of that this season.
Yeah, and honestly, in the years past, Mr. Rublik, I would usually agree with you. But after last season, I always think of Doc Walker in the back of my head whenever this kind of argument comes up, because we have tried to be cute before and it hasn't paid off. Where I want to get into the mindset, it doesn't matter. I'm going to tell you, this is what we're doing. Stop it. And I want to get to that mindset of just being able to inflict your will upon the opposing team, like Doc Walker usually says. And that's kind of what I'm cowtailing towards more to than just trying to confuse everybody. But there is a necessity for it, and without a doubt, you do have to confuse the defense. Sorry, Hall.
No, yeah. I think for the past 2 years, like Reed said, he's really only had, like, you had Logan Thomas the first year, obviously, but then he gets injured last year. So you've really only had Terry McLaurin and Antonio Gibson. And I know everyone's like, we need to use Antonio Gibson in the passing game more, but I just feel like the coaching staff was trying to convert him into that between the tackles. Like,
he's done a good job with JD too in the passing
game.
Exactly.
Exactly. So just like feed him the ball, let's convert him to a running back, and then we'll add in the other stuff later on once he gets like the running back position fully down. So as far as like the different type of like sets and like different type of variations of like lineups and stuff, like he hasn't really had those pieces on the roster to actually be creative with like the type of like sets he's putting out there with like 3 wide receiver or 3 running backs or 2 tight ends, 3 wide receiver, empty sets, something like that. So now that we have all these pieces on offense, if everyone can stay healthy, all the speed on offense, I think that we're going to see another page that Scott Turner has in his playbook as far as, and then you go back to the quarterback as well. Like when you got to cut out maybe half your playbook or a third of your playbook because you can't really put in the downfield stuff, then it kind of limits you as far as a play caller.
Right.
And I think that I'm not going to say that Scott Turner gets like a bad rap, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because now he has a full deck of cards to play with. Let's see what he can do with it. Can he shuffle them up? Can he distribute the ball out well enough? And honestly, if you think back to the offense last year with Taylor Heineke, between the 20s, we were moving the ball pretty well.
Yep.
It's just when you got to the red zone, I think that also having Carson Wentz here is going to help because you're going to have that a little bit of stronger arm or a lot stronger arm in the red zone. You'll be able to do the quick game stuff. You'll be able to make the tight window of throws in the red zone where you actually need the stronger arm with like the defense kind of condensing down in the red zone. So I definitely think that, and then once Brian Robinson comes back, hopefully, then they can put Antonio Gibson out in the slot, kind of move him around as a chess piece as well. So, like Andy said, by week 6 or 7, I think that we'll know what we need to know about Scott Turner as far as like, can he be creative? Can he put the ball in the end zone? Because at the end of the day, honestly, it all comes down to scoring points. And because, like I said, the red zone offense has been pretty horrible for the past 2 seasons, I think that if we would score a little bit more points, Scott Turner would be looked at a little bit more differently. But because the offense has been so like lowly ranked, hasn't really scored a lot of points, and we've had just abysmal quarterback play for the most part, I think that Scott Turner gets lumped into that. So I think this season, especially the first half of the season, I think is going to be really telling about Scott Turner and what we have going forward.
Yeah, that's a great one. Now, this next question is from Tony Shivers. Let's go rapid fire here, Andy. Big Tony, thank you, Tone. Aside from Trevor Lawrence, who are the offensive threats on the Jags?
Oh, gee. I couldn't name you 3 Jags players. I'm not even going to fucking lie with you. haven't got a fucking clue.
Well, I got a huge one that outside of Trevor Lawrence, I think Travis Etienne, of course, is going to have a huge season. I think that using him in the running game and the passing game, we really got to watch out for that. He's going to be a good outlet for Trevor Lawrence.
I sounded like Keith then.
You did. Zay Jones, I think, has been the number 1 wide receiver for Trevor Lawrence so far. Coming through training camp and preseason, he's looked really good, having a resurgence here in Jacksonville. But also the other name is Christian Kirk, the big name free agent acquisition that they got. He's a deep ball king. Obviously, there's a reason why they brought him in there. Maybe he's reminiscent of Deshaun Jackson, and that's why Doug Peterson went out to get him. So that's somebody to keep an eye on. Hall?
I'm going to say, I know people are going to be like, they're probably going to laugh at this name, but again, new place, new situation. And Doug Peterson has had a lot of success with coaching these guys up and like putting them in positions to win. I'm gonna go Evan Ingram just because he's had Zach Ertz, he's had Dallas Goedert. I know everyone's like, oh, Evan Ingram, he's a bum. He was in New York, he can't stay healthy. The dude's still athletic as hell, and honestly, this team has horrible past in covering tight ends, especially the athletic tight ends. And then you factor in Cam Curl being injured, possibly kind of thin at the safety position. Linebackers, you don't know what you're going to get out of them for the most part. I could definitely see Evan Ingram just people being like,
there it is.
Oh, there it is. Dude,
also, James Robinson and Marvin Jones, too, by the way.
Absolutely. The one I thought that Evan Ingram so far, like I've looked up some Jags things, like everyone's complaining about him. He hasn't looked good at all in Jags training camp or preseason. But we'll see come week 1. That's a great one because the Cam Curl injury is concerning. This next question
never wants me to be great.
Jeff Miles in the Discord chat server, Andy. Piggybacking off the 2 questions, what does each coordinator must attack as a key to victory?
Oh, wow. Defensively, get back to what we're good at. Get after the quarterback. Don't be too. Sometimes I think we're trying too cute and we overthink things. Football isn't a hard game if you don't overthink it. And that goes for any sport that you play. I think sometimes, I've played a lot of soccer for my life. And you see sometimes these coaches, and I sit there as a player when I played, and I'm thinking, don't overthink this. Let us do what we're good at. And I think sometimes defensively, we overthink it. So defensively, I definitely want us to just get back to the basics, try and get off the ball, get to the quarterback. But like Doc Walker says, you want to see these quarterbacks, it's hitting the mouth. Don't try and be too cute with it. We know that our secondary isn't great, so we're going to have to try and get to the quarterback. Offensively, we just got to use what God's given us now. We've got some great weapons. Let's use it. I don't want to be sitting there on Sunday and we've hardly got the ball down the field and I haven't really seen a receiver make a catch. You know what I mean? So offensively, use what we've got now. Like Hall said earlier, use these trick plays now. We haven't really been able to do it because we've only had Terry McLaurin and Logan Thomas, and we haven't really been able to scheme up these kind of different plays. Let's try something new now. I think with Washington, and I think I've said this a few times in the past, we're very easy for opposition coordinators to plan against us because they're probably, they know what we're going to do in the red zone because we haven't really got much creativity there. They're probably, you're watching our film, they must be like, well, this is very basic to defend against, you know what I mean? So let's just open up this playbook, man. We've got some great weapons on offense now. Let's just use them.
Yeah, and to your point earlier, Hall, about the offense, they were good between the 20s. When you're doing dink and dunk, that makes sense. But when you get down in the red zone, you got to score. You got to be able to push that ball positively and be able to get that, and that's why they kind of laxed in that scoring category. But the last question I want to get your guys' opinions on before we get Tim Towner's. This from Jeff Miles, his second question. Reed, how does the new assistant DL coach, Ryan Kerrigan, affect the D-line? Will we see an immediate difference or more over time, if any?
I think so. I think it's got to be huge. I mean, Jonathan Allen's played with Ryan Kerrigan. He knows him. He's going to work
Chase Young
wonders.
says he was huge.
Yeah. That's I forgot. Yeah, he played with Chase's rookie year and Montez Sweat. So I think they all have a good relationship with him. Deron Payne, all these guys have played with him. So they know what he can do. They know how well respected he is around the league as a player. They know that he's a former Pro Bowler, and they're going to listen to him. I mean, when you have a friend like that coaching you, I think it really bodes well. And I think that you will eventually see. I don't know how he is as a coach, but I would imagine he's doing all right if they brought him back. So I'd like to think that he could eventually have a very big impact. Yeah, I think he'll work wonders, especially for people like Chase. Chase talked about not having him last year and how big that was. So I think him and Montez he'll have the biggest impact on those guys.
Absolutely. And yeah, I do think that he will have an impact. Even in his press conference today when it was announced, first thing he brought up was the pass rushing lanes, being able to run the contain from the defensive line standpoint. And that's exactly what I need to hear, and I need to see some results, and I do expect that to come from Ryan Kerrigan. They wouldn't have offered him a contract. They wouldn't have offered him a full-time deal if they didn't think that he was have everything he needed to. And I do think that the Chase Young and Montez Sweat connection, because I've said many times, is the most important year of Chase Young's career, and I think hiring Ryan Kerrigan is a positive thing for Chase Young. Hall?
Yeah, I think that if you go back to obviously last year, they played down to what they're capable of. You go back to 2020, whenever Ryan Kerrigan was on the team still, he was just kind of used that third down kind of situational guy. The defensive line had the best year, all four of them together, that we've seen in the 3 years they've been together. So I definitely think that with Ryan being there, obviously he's not like in the locker. Well, I guess he'll be in the locker room, but he won't be. He's going to be like solely like coaching them up. And then I think I was listening to his press conference today, and he was saying that when he was in the locker room and he was like kind of getting ready for game weeks and around the guys in the room, he was watching himself going against like who he's going against that week. But he would also see like, okay, Jonathan Allen's doing this, or Chase is doing this, Montez is doing this. Hey, if you do this or like do that, this, that, and the third, this is how you can beat this move or do that, get better at this. So he was saying this time around, now he's a coach, he doesn't really focus on himself. He has more time to focus on, okay, this is what Jonathan Allen's doing. Maybe I can help him this way. This is what Deron's doing. This is what Montez, this is what Chase is doing. I can get like more like intimate, like one-on-one type of like a deal with him now. I know, like real like candlelights and everything is real intimate.
Heck yeah.
But I definitely think you'll see it in the short term. Hopefully, I know that when they hired the
there it is again.
There it is again. Andy, you have anything to add? I know you love yourself some Ryan Kerrigan.
Yeah, I think the good thing about Kerrigan as well, and because he hasn't been stopped playing that long ago, he's going to notice things maybe quicker than a normal coordinator would. And he's literally going to get into the players like Chase and the rest of the guys on their back and say, hey, look, I've seen this. I can see this. And you think how quick he saw things on the field. When he's on the sidelines, he's literally going to see it literally. So once that down's gone, he's literally going to be onto these players. This is the set they've got. This is the play they're going to call. You know what I mean? I know players watch a lot of film, but having Ryan Kerrigan on the sidelines, he is going to see things in the blink of an eye. A, because he's literally just stopped playing, and B, because that man reads a football field like nobody else. I mean, that the knowledge that he is going to pass on to the guys that are already out there. And if it's a third down when this play is going to be called and we have a timeout, what a perfect person to have coming into your ear or onto the field. It'll be Ryan Kerrigan going, this is the play 100% that they're going to call. It's only going to benefit us as a team.
Absolutely. Yeah. Andy, I'll keep this last question with you, sir. This is from Tim Towner on Twitter. He DM'd me. Question: sacks, turnovers, or third down efficiency?
Turnovers.
Turnovers. Kermit the Frog here.
Next, turnovers.
I would like to talk about turnovers. Miss Piggy, what do you think of these turnovers?
Where would we be without men?
Oh my God, this Washington.
Oh my gosh. Men are the best.
These commanders. Oh my God.
Men are the ones building the septic systems. Where would we be without turnovers?
We were just doing the Bane voice before we were recording. So
that was Jordan Peterson took over.
Where would we be without men?
The Indian Kermit the Frog.
What it sounded like.
Where would we be without these bloody men?
Where would they be without men?
Oh my God! Look
Oh
out
my
of my shop.
goodness. All right, sacks, turnovers, third down efficiency. Which of these three areas on offense and defense do we need to be victorious in order to win next week? And which area will hurt us the most if we do not perform well, Andy?
We kind of had this question on the bunker yesterday, and everyone said the same thing: do not turn the ball over.
Yeah.
Stop turning the ball over. And I think that's gone through Washington teams for the last, probably since I've been a fan. You know what I mean? Don't turn the ball over, and you will win. The Frog's got me. You will win more. You will win more games than anything. This. How many times have we all been watching a game on a Sunday and we've turned the ball over in crucial areas? We, as a football team, and I pray to God that Ron Rivera is drumming this into this team now. Don't turn the ball over. Do the basics. Protect the football, and you're going to win more games of football. Just protect the thing, and we will win more games of football. So yeah, for me, turnovers 100%.
Yeah, turnovers on the offensive side of the football, without a doubt. Obviously, with Antonio Gibson getting the most and the bulk of those carries, that's a big concern because you don't want to give them a short field. Allow our defense to stay healthy, to stay fresh. The Cowboys, when they had the best defense in the NFL, it wasn't because they were that talented. It's because their running game literally bled everyone to death. They controlled the time of possession, and their defense was always fresh and healthy throughout the game. So that's why they were one of the best in the league. And then for the defense, it's third down efficiency, getting off of the field for the same reason. Keep yourself fresh. Stop bleeding yourself all the way down the field. You get very tired by the end of that drive. They bleed you dry. Then the offense comes out, turns the ball over. Now you're put in a bad situation on your own 20, having to guard your end zone again. Let's get out of that, guys. Let's start the repetition of getting off the field and giving the offense the chance to go score some points. Hall?
Yeah, that's a good.
Offense, I'm going to go third down efficiency just because you convert more third downs. Defense is on the field less to get a lot more time to rest, make more adjustments, look at the tablets, see what they're doing on offense, and get out there and sack the opposing or get after the opposing quarterback. And also, if you're moving the ball a lot on third downs, then hopefully you're going to come up with some points, which also benefits the defense, and they can pin their ears back, get after Trevor Lawrence and whoever's playing quarterback back there. And defensive wise, I'll say sacks, but it's more of just like pressures. I'm not going to say like full on sacks because you can end the game with 0 sacks, but as long as you got pressure, everything is good. But if they're getting in Trevor Lawrence's face, creating pressure up the middle, collapsing the pocket from the outside, it's only going to help the secondary, which is kind of everyone says is a weakness right now. So if the pass rush and the secondary can kind of play that kind of complementary football together, I think that the defense should be good to go week 1.
Yeah, totally agree. They got to get their sacks in Trevor Lawrence's face.
Big
sacks.
Yeah, I think turnovers are always the biggest thing on both sides of the ball. I mean, you don't want to turn the ball over, and getting turnovers I think would help. But so outside of that, though, I'm going to say sacks. Getting to Trevor Lawrence, I think, is going to be huge. I mean, because he's still a young quarterback. We saw what happened last year. He struggled, and I know he didn't have a competent head coach, but having a good offensive mind this year and the weapons that they have, I think you really got to get to Trevor Lawrence early, kind of rattle him a little bit and kind of get his what's it called? His motivation is, however happy he is, rattle him a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
However happy he is.
I don't know what the hell that meant, but you know.
All right, everybody. That's going to wrap us up for this episode of the Burgundy Zone. Andy, I can't thank you enough for joining us, brother. I know it's late for you right now, probably 10 o'clock. We're excited to see you, brother. Safe travels. Yeah. I know it's a long airplane ride, but we're excited to see you fly in on Thursday. It's going to be the first. There's only one chance for first impressions, right? And as the Commanders, hopefully we start this off on the right foot, brother. Can't wait to see you, man.
No problem, man. Yeah. Thanks for having me on. I look forward to seeing you and Reed on Friday. Hall, I will see you on Sunday, my man. But yeah, this is going to be a weekend that no one is ever going to forget. I promise you.
Yeah, and then also obviously check out our podcast, The Commander Bunker. That I'm co-hosting with Andy for the time being until Freddie gets back. But it's Freddie and Andy's podcast, The Commander Bunker. Usually we record on Thursdays, but make sure you guys go and check that out. All right, everybody. I'm Jordan Peterson.
Where would we be without men? They've built this world. I love my Xanax and
That's why I was
Valium.
laughing to myself because the Jordan Peterson comment, which is spot on.
He sounds exactly like that. Yeah, he sounds like Kermit, a Canadian Kermit.
Oh dear.
I'm Turkleton from Scrubs.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of are.
Yeah.
And, I'm a deeply closeted straight man.
All right, everybody. Our next show, I'm not sure if it's going to be on Friday because, to be perfectly honest, I think that'd be a bad scheduling on our part. So we might be scheduling it for Thursday if that's doable, Reed, if we could do that. So be on the lookout for either probably Thursday evening or Friday morning. All right, everybody. We'll see you then. Have a great, safe week. Washington football. Woo! Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kyle. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. And if you liked what you saw, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you get notified when anything new is uploaded to the channel. Also, we just launched theburgundyzone.com. You can go there and find all of our latest news, articles, and the latest episodes that are uploaded. Again, we also have the Discord chat server, where all of our VIP folks are in, like Andy Burrows, Scott Hartley, Sergio Martin is in there as well. Don't miss out on the Discord chat server. Go and check that out. Until next time, everybody, Washington football. Woo!